Coming up this week on Nerd vs. Newb.
What two X-Men characters' DNA would you choose to make a lab baby?
What piece of dialogue from this film would you guys use as a pickup line?
What epic road trip would you love to go on?
Now hit me with that theme.
Movie reviews and 20 cues. Asking the question of what will I really do? There's nerds, there's news, and now there's you. Come on, let's start the show.
Good people, welcome to Nerd vs. Newb, movie reviews in 20 Qs, the show where we get in nerd and noobs to review a movie by asking 20 weird and wonderful questions about it. I am your co-host Sam Hurley, representing the nerd camp, and I am joined by my usual noob, Stacey Gavin. How are you, Stacey?
I'm good, thanks, Sam. Excited to be here.
Awesome, and we have a noob returning to the show. Carol, how are you, Carol?
I'm feeling pretty nerdish today, actually.
Well, considering you came over and told me that you've been Googling Wolverine's history...
No, I haven't.
I'm starting to think that you might have switched camps here, Carol. Awesome. So this week, you guys, it is the brand new Hugh Jackman movie, Logan. It's supposedly his last hurrah for the character that he's been playing for the last 17 years.
FYI, that character is Wolverine,
Yes.
for those who don't know.
Thank you for that, noob.
All right, so here's the reviews. On IMDb, it's got 8.7 out of 10, and Rotten Tomatoes, 94%. Pretty high.
That's some really high scores. What about you, Carol? What would you give the movie?
As long as I don't change my mind at the end. At the minute, I reckon I'll give it 8.75.
Out of 10,000?
Yeah.
Bit low.
I think she means 8,750.
Yeah, that.
I think you translate it. What about you?
I can't remember what I gave Deadpool.
Did you like it more than Deadpool?
Yes, by like a tiny little bit. So maybe, around 8,000. Oh, I think I gave Deadpool like a 9,000.
Wait, hold up. Were you on the Deadpool podcast?
No, so I didn't give it a score.
Well, there's your answer, dumber.
I felt like I was on it. I was there.
Okay.
It was. So I'm giving this movie a 8,825.
Well, last week I gave Hunt for the Wilder People 9,500 and something, and this is right up there. So I'm going to give it 9,499. This was, for me, the perfect way for Hugh Jackman to go out on this character. It was an amazing film. Oh, yeah, spoiler alert.
Well, okay, yeah, before we go any further, I think you're right. We need to do spoiler alert early because this is a new movie. Heaps of people might not have seen it yet, and we're just going to tell you everything that happens.
Yeah, just listen to this podcast if you have seen the film.
All right, before we jump into the questions, here's the plot rundown. In the near future, a weary Logan cares for an ailing Professor X in a hideout on the Mexican border. But Logan's attempts to hide from the world and his legacy are upended when a young mutant arrives, being pursued by dark forces.
Doom, doom, doom. As usual, we start off with an all-play question, so we'll move straight into that. First up here, guys, something we're going to introduce now, and we're probably going to make this the first question of all the questions we do from now on, is we're going to introduce the compliment sandwich question. So what I want you guys to do is I want you to name one thing you like, and then one thing you dislike, and then one thing you like, aka the shit sandwich.
Hit us, Carol.
So, first thing I like would have to be the shot where Laura's just chilling out in the kitchen in Logan's hideout in Mexico. And she's just sitting there eating her Kellogg's cornflakes while she's watching everyone else outside having a rumble. I thought that was quite funny.
And then she totally destroys them.
Yeah.
To top it off.
One thing I dislike would have to be when Laura's asleep on the floor next to Charles. She didn't open her eyes in time to see that it wasn't the real Logan. I reckon she could have saved Charles. One other thing that I like would have to be just when Laura bowled the decapitated head across to those dudes.
Oh, that was going to be one of my ones. I love that.
That's not my one, though.
Oh, okay.
But And then she chucks her handcuffs on the ground and then throws her backpack on the ground, and she walks over to the baddie with the sunglasses and the robot hand dude, whatever his name is. And then he's like, no. He's shaking his hand. That was quite cool.
So the first thing I liked was the simplicity of the story, and in particular the script. Laura didn't even talk for the first half of the movie, and Logan barely said anything, and that there were so few characters, because so many superhero movies are just too many characters, too much talk, too much action. The thing I didn't like about this movie, why did that innocent family have to get killed?
Fuck. There goes my dislike.
As a result of just,
Damn it.
inviting these people into their home, and then just shit gets crazy.
Oh, they were just too nice, though.
Exactly. The other like about this is it's not overdone with CGI. Like, it's a superhero movie that seems kind of realistic, even though it sounds funny.
No, actually.
So the first thing that I liked about this movie is we finally got the Wolverine movie that we've been wanting. We got to see claws going through heads. We got to see limbs getting cut off. Dislike. I'm going to nitpick here. There is a lot of Wolverine villains that are awesome, and like Cyber or Omega Red. Unfortunately, we didn't get to see them. We didn't get to see a classic Wolverine villain in this movie, which was a bit of a shame. Finally, on to the other thing I like is just, again, almost going back to the R rating. They just had the balls to go for it all. They didn't care about showing a psychotic young kid who had these powers that, could mess up anybody, similar to like Hit Girl in the Kick-Ass movies. They just went all out. They earned that R rating and they made it worthwhile. And I spent pretty much the entire movie sitting beside Stacey here pretending to throw claws out of my hands, making the schnick sound every time he fighted people.
I thought you were just grasping for more popcorn.
No. I wanted to throw claws out of my hands. And okay, I'm going to add another little one in here, and this is really quick, but during it, I was like, yeah, this is awesome, the violence is great, etc., etc. But then I was like, oh, it's too fast. You don't get a real slow motion shot of him chucking his claws through people. And then it was like, the director was like, oh, no, wait, we do. And when Professor X's mind started going off, we got treated to slow-mo Wolverine stabbing claws through heads. Loved it. Sweet. So, Carol, you're going to start us off this week.
Okay, first question. When Laura realises that those baddies are coming to get her, and she's sitting in Logan's kitchen, and she just continues to eat her Kellogg's cornflakes. Which breakfast cereal would you be eating?
First of all, well done you for recognising the brand.
Yeah,
I didn't even
I don't remember
see
that.
that box of cornflakes. My answer is Cocoa Pops. Yeah, just Cocoa Pops, because I don't really eat cereal, but that's a childhood throwback. So I bet you if I saw a bowl of that, I'd just keep on munching on no matter what was happening.
Yeah, that would have been my answer as well. Thinking on the fly, I'd have to go with Crunchy Nut Cornflakes. I used to love Crunchy Nut Cornflakes.
I'd pick Honey Puffs. Frickin'. Keep looking for the funny honeybees, honey puffs all the time. What?
Musical interlude.
Sorry.
Awesome.
So I'd add that bit in. Okay, second question. When Logan realises that Laura's was created from his DNA, what two X-Men characters' DNA would you choose to make a lab baby?
So I don't know much about X-Men, so I'm just picking from the one X-Men movie I've seen. Which one was it?
X-Men Apocalypse.
Oh yeah, X-Men Apocalypse.
Jesus
Come
Christ.
on.
Favourite character out of that was Jean Grey, because she's ginger.
Yeah, go Ginger.
Dearest.
But also, she's one of the most powerful mutants that there is. She
Yes,
saved the
she's
day in that
legally
movie,
mutant.
so she was pretty kick-ass. And I'd actually like to cross her with X23, so I think that Laura, so you'd get the mental kick-ass and the physical kick-ass in one package then.
I'd like to combine Quicksilver with Iceman. Quicksilver, who you might remember, is the really speedy mutant, and Iceman is the person that has control over the ice powers. I can't count the number of parties I've shown up to, and your beers are warm.
Nice.
You see where I'm going with this?
you
How
wanna
awesome would it be
cool
if
down?
you were like, hey, Quickman or Ice Silver, my beers are warm, I need you right now, and 2 seconds later he's there, cools your beers, there you go mate, cruises off.
Hey, wouldn't
The perfect friend.
He'd be going too fast to say, there you go, mate. It'd just be done.
Yeah. Why not? That'd be awesome.
You'd have beer ice blocks.
Third question. Laura starts helping herself to Pringles, and, the drink and a pair of sunglasses at the gas station. So I was thinking, oh, geez, what munchies and style of sunglasses would you nick?
I almost want to do a throwback to our last podcast where Taika Waititi's character, the minister, was like, now what do you think's behind that door? Like, Doritos and LMP, all that sort of stuff.
Fanta, Coke
Fanta.
Zero.
But if anyone knows me, if I'm stealing sunglasses and snacks, that's probably chances are that I've got a hangover. So I'm going with some very dark sunglasses, some dark aviators, some blue Powerade, and probably a combination of Burger Rings, Twisties, and any other chips I can get my hand on, all in a pie.
Why did I say my cheese?
Okay, I'm going to go with, for my snacks, I'm going with my all-time favourite, salt and vinegar kettle fries. Delish. But also later on I'm going to need some sugar hit, and I love chocolate, so I'm going to go with a peanut slab. And I'm not going to nick sunglasses because I have prescription lenses.
Oh my God.
Oh, no, here's a noob.
This show is turning everyone into a nerd.
I'm not going to steal sunglasses because I need my prescription and my asthma and my allergies.
Oh, no.
Okay, so moves me on to my first set of 3 questions. Okay, first up. So, Wolverine has slowly lost his regenerative powers, but X23 certainly has them. If you woke up tomorrow and discovered that you had super healing, could recover from anything or everything, what extreme sport or activity would you guys take up?
I'd be a wingsuit flyer because it's like extreme sports, and then you can just like glide through the forest and the cliffs and stuff, and yeah, that'd be awesome. And you couldn't die.
That'd be dope.
Pretty much exactly the same as my answer. I said base jumping.
Oh,
Good.
So just jumping.
same thing.
It is pretty much the same thing.
without
You
a
just
wingsuit.
jump off stuff and free fall.
I'll
You
let
do
have
need.
that one.
You do,
I'm surprised you guys didn't pick being engaged to a redhead, because that's kind of a very extreme sport.
Oh, man.
hey, you're not allowed to answer your own questions. Move on.
Funnily enough, it's actually International Women's Day today, so here's a quite fitting question. X23, Laura, do you think she is a good role model for young girls?
Yes. I thought because, she's had this determination, she had this passion, she needed to get this secret place somewhere. What was it called?
Eden.
Eden, yeah, that place. She just believed in something so strongly that she just went for it.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. I think she's a great role model. I think the focus is the thing. She didn't let any bullshit get in the way. She didn't get flustered around, and she didn't start talking back straight away to Logan. She was just cool.
So if you guys had a 10-year-old girl and she watched this movie and came home and said, I'd like to have claws out of my hands and feet and go around killing people, you'd be sweet with it?
Yeah.
Well, obviously the violence part isn't a good role model.
Okay, so at the end of the movie, just before Charles dies, he sort of says, I've had the most perfect night, but I don't deserve it. Why doesn't Charles deserve a perfect night?
I don't know.
What do you guys think he's done?
I reckon he didn't actually try his best to hide the pills.
What do you think, Stacey G?
I don't know. In the movie, I was so engrossed in the moment and I liked his character so much. I actually thought he said, don't you think I deserve it?
No.
Because there'd been a long road trip. He's fucking 90 or whatever, and he's just... I thought that he woke up from this peaceful, amazing sleep that he hasn't had for ages. And so, basically, the answer to your question is, I don't know.
Spoiler alert for those people that haven't read the Old Man Logan comic series by Mark Millar. In the Old Man Logan comic, Logan is possessed mentally, so Wolverine's possessed mentally by a telepath who then gets him to kill every single last one of the X-Men, after which Logan decides he's not going to be a mutant or be a warrior or be a combatant anymore, and he goes and hides out. And in this movie, we discover that Professor X was actually the one that killed all the X-Men. There is a snippet on the radio where we
How
hear
do
that
we
Professor
discover?
X is the most wanted man in all of America because he killed 7 mutants and 96 humans. So Professor X, when he has those mental breakdowns that Logan's trying to stop him from, killed the X-Men.
Ooh.
And
Well,
there's the
that's what
nerdiest trivia. Yeah, that's what him. So,
That's why he's feeding him all those pills.
yeah.
What is the pills?
Yes, the pills are trying to stop him from using his mind powers to inadvertently
kill
wipe out
everyone.
humanity. Yeah.
My goodness.
And that's why he was down in Mexico where he didn't have people around, so he wouldn't.
Why would Professor X want to kill...
That's why they're
He's lost control of his powers.
Oh.
He saw that he's got degenerative brain disease and he's lost control of his ability to, control his powers.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so Stacey, your first set of 3 questions.
Okay, so the characters go on an epic road trip from Mexico straight up the middle of the US into Canada. What epic road trip would you love to go on?
I'd go from the bottom of South America all the way up to like Mexico or Cuba. No, but my reason is not only because of the food. I'd stop and I'd go to the Galapagos Islands because I'm sure that's where they are. And
Yes.
Cuba
and
to
then I'd
Chile. That was my one.
I'm going for that. And then I'd
All
stop
yours.
into Brazil and go Rio de Janeiro and do the samba and go to the Carnival and stuff because that's around my birthday, by the way.
Okay.
Awesome.
And
next
then
year.
I'd go to Machu Picchu because it'd just be awesome. And then after hiking my guts out, I'd go to Cuba and go for a bit of a kani, a bit of a dance, and maybe a cigar. Not that I smoke, but it sounds pretty cool.
That is an epic road trip, and that will take you quite some time with all those stop-offs.
Funnily enough, that was my exact answer. I'd love to do a South American road trip. Because Carol's stolen that one. I'd also love to do the States. I would love to go from the West Coast to the East. LA, do the Hoover Dam, do Nevada, drive down through Louisiana, Texas, all that area, go to New Orleans, go to Florida, go to Miami, drive up the coast, get to New York, do New York, Philly, Boston, all around that northeast seaboard. Love to do all of that. Maybe when Trump lets us in, but
Yeah, exactly. Oh, okay. Righto. So my next question's a bit of a double barrel. So, do you think Wolverine is a good dad? And if you were his child, would you be brave enough to trim his beard while he was sleeping?
I'm just going to say no.
No, not brave enough?
Yeah, no, definitely not brave enough to trim his beard. In the first X-Men movie, he got startled by Rogue one night and he woke up and stabbed her through the chest with claws.
Exactly.
Luckily for us, Rogue had the power to absorb his mutant healing and heal herself, so that was good for her. But is he a good dad? Well, we've seen the way he takes care of Xavier and we'll see the way he takes care of Caliban. If he'd had Laura as a daughter, I reckon he probably would have been a pretty good dad.
Okay, well, if I was Laura, because she's got those super claw things, then because she's so quick,
Yes.
then I reckon she could actually trim his beard. In regards to him being a good dad, well, he mustn't be too bad.
Cool, what's next, Stace?
Okay, so this is one of my favourite performances. Stephen Merchant popped up in
Really?
this movie. Yeah, as the albino Caliban. So his skin fries in direct sunlight, and he gets tortured this way. So what's a specialised form of torture that could be inflicted on you?
I love how the ginger is sympathetic to the guy that burns in the sunlight.
Exactly.
There's a couple of things that I can't stand. I hate being hot, I hate being thirsty, and I hate needles. So I reckon being chased out in the desert by porcupines with nothing to drink would probably be my idea of hell.
Porcupines, here we come.
Stuff that.
My pet peeve would be someone touching my face, or someone holding me down and touching. I hate it when people touch my face. Oh, gross.
Yes.
All right, so my three questions. Okay, number 4. So Laura's extremely protective of her backpack, right? She's pretty scrappy over it. So in regards
yeah.
to you running out the door, what items would you grab?
My answer's really obvious, but phone, wallet, and my prescription sunglasses.
Oh my god.
Really, what more do you need? You can buy stuff, you can contact people, and I'll be able to see.
Yeah, I mean, I'd grab my wallet, my phone, obviously. I'm going to go full nerdy on this as well. I'd also grab my X-Men comic, which has the debut of Gambit. It's worth quite a bit of money, as well as my Punisher War Journal #1. Look at your face. Possibly my Xbox as well. And then if I've got time, I might
Hey.
grab Stacey.
You're on the run. You don't have time to take all that.
Okay, yeah, I'll definitely leave Stacey then.
Okay, next question. When Logan and Laura finally make it to Eden, which is on the edge of the cliff in the desert somewhere. Where was it? Anyway, where would you build your Eden?
Well, I think they had a pretty good spot, actually. It was really remote. It had beautiful, the trees and the bush and the scenery. Could get a really good view. I'd just add one more element. I'd add a sea view. So somewhere near the ocean, but similar kind of thing.
I'm going to go with the South Island and go with Lake Tekapo. Hands down one of the most beautiful places I've ever been. I'd love if my Mount Eden was there.
Last question. Laura's name is X23. What would you have called her?
Honey Badger. Honey Badgers despite their name, are one of the most fiercest fucking animals on this planet. They've got some of the most powerful jaw pressure that you can imagine. Watch a video on them. They are crazy. They are psychotic little animals. Just like a Wolverine's a psychotic little animal, so is a honey badger.
I'd call her Wolverina. She's a young female version of Wolverine who's pretty good at twirling around and flipping around while she's fighting.
That's a great answer.
I wonder how I could ever come up with something.
Yeah, it's almost like someone might have given it to you in this edited version of the podcast. Wicked. So moves me on to my final set of 3 questions. So, most superhero movies tend to go for the PG rating so that they can draw in bigger crowds, the likes of the Avengers, Spider-Mans, etc., etc. Pretty much only this movie, Deadpool, and a Punisher movie, as well as Blade, have had the hard R rating where we see some blood and violence. What other superhero movie could you imagine as a R16 movie?
I'm just going to come straight out as a noob and say probably one that I've never heard of before. There must be a superhero in the comics somewhere that would suit it, but I don't know.
I go for Mystique.
She'd do well with all the blood and violence. Cool. So, unfortunately, Hugh Jackman is touting that this is his final run out as Wolverine. He's played the character for 17 years. He doesn't want to do it anymore. Ryan Reynolds, on the other hand, is insanely keen to get a Wolverine versus Deadpool movie because, hey, these two fought a lot in the comics. They've been teammates in the comics. They've done everything in the comics. So Ryan Reynolds has basically petitioned fans to start tweeting Hugh Jackman and start begging him to do a Wolverine versus Deadpool movie. Now, would you guys like to see a Wolverine versus Deadpool movie, or do you think this is the perfect way for him to end it?
I reckon it'd be pretty funny. You know, because how Deadpool talks to the screen and stuff.
Yeah.
Here's a bit of a nerdy, actually, thing I learned, even though I am still a noob. I reckon it would be like the ultimate battle because apparently Deadpool is made up with some of Wolverine's DNA, which means he heals real quickly, blah, blah, blah. But anyway.
Carol, you're officially one of the nerds.
I'm just going to say, nah, I don't think they should do a Wolverine v Deadpool. I think it was the perfect ending for Wolverine. It's the first movie I've seen of his and the last, and I think it should stay that way. It's an awesome standalone story.
Okay, so final question. Again, we always have to have a deep philosophical question. What piece of dialogue from this film would you guys use as a pickup line?
I reckon that part when they're in the gas station and she's about to stab that attendant dude in the face. Wolverine comes in and grabs her arm. She's like, "Hey, not okay."
All right.
It's my safe line.
Yeah, get me out of here. Okay, so when Pierce is unleashing X24 onto Logan, he says, "Showtime, boy."
Jeez.
And that's my pickup line.
Interestingly enough, that's the line that she used on me the first time we hooked up.
Showtime, boy!
That moves us on to Stacey for her final set of 3 questions.
So the kids in this movie had some cool superpowers. Which superpower would be handy to have in your everyday life?
I reckon the wood girl. You know, the one that shoots
The wood
like
girl, yeah.
splinters through that dude's face. I reckon because why? Well, it might bring my garden back to life because it's looking a bit sad, especially my anniversary present my husband gave me, which was this jubera plant. Yeah, that's, I think it's a bit dead.
That's a good answer there, Carol. You could, grow some crops, maybe make a little profit.
Not those sorts of crops.
Just tomato plants. Yeah, I think we've missed the real obvious answer here, guys. I'd like X23's powers. I'd like to be able to heal and like claws. Because then I would quit my job as whatever the hell I do for a job, and I would become a human organ bank.
Human organ.
Because you've got healing powers, you can effectively slice open your stomach, pop out some livers, some kidneys, some hearts, some lungs.
100,000 Americans.
Yeah. You'd be a multi-millionaire within the space of 2 weeks. You'd be a savior to mankind. Think about all those poor people out there right now that need a new, I don't know, liver. Yeah, liver, kidneys, whatever. You'd be the hero.
So in this movie, we see a few adults and mostly kids starring in an R-rated movie. Bit weird. But do you think that there is a return to the good old days of the early 80s of kid groups being the heroes in movies?
Maybe if I was like a 10-year-old girl, I might be interested in watching it. But, well, actually, but there might be a sequel with these kiddies, so okay, yes.
Nah, I can't imagine it. This is an R-rated movie and they serve their purpose, but, like those 80s movies, they were untouchable. So, I can't imagine us seeing a new version of The Goonies or Stand By Me or one of those classics. I just can't imagine it. I think their time's come and gone, and I just don't think there's much of a demand for them now.
Do you remember watching Stranger Things at all? That's what I'm saying. I'm saying in the last couple of years, we've seen a couple of, a TV series and a movie come out where kids are the surprise stars. Like, that you don't go to an R-rated movie to see this, but they just turned out to be really good.
That is true.
Okay, so the story played out like a Shakespearean tragedy, with most of the key characters dying in the end. But you've got the opportunity to save one character. Tell me why.
Okay, well, yeah. I had 3 different characters. No. First,
There are only three main
ones
characters.
that do die, yeah.
oh, is it?
No, just a few more.
Oh, whatever. Well, I thought, the good Logan, and then I thought the bad Logan. But then I thought, no. And even though I've just realised it's not actually an answer. The doctor.
What the hell is going on?
The doctor who created all these mutants or whatever, then he could come back and he could create some of the old X-Men team.
Yeah. He could create the Dark X-Men, like a different version of the X-Men. I felt sorry for Caliban. He had a rough time in this movie. And it would have been nice if maybe he'd survived. And because he's a mutant tracker, movie could have ended with him and the kids going into Canada and saying, whoever they're going to meet up with, because we never find out who they meet up with, Caliban saying, holy shit, I can detect more mutants, I'll help them track them down and we'll start a new X-Men. So, final question of the podcast here, guys. There's not a heck of a lot of representation of New Zealand in the Marvel universe, in the comics or the films. There is literally one character I can think of whose name is Kiwi Black. He's a moldy teleporter who joined the X-Men for a bit and then just disappeared. He just got written out of existence. No one really knows what happened to him or anything. So, what I want you guys to do is I want you to make up for this deficiency of New Zealand characters in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and I want you guys to create a New Zealand character.
I came up with a hero, superheroes or whatever. God. I'd go Tangaroa, god of the sea.
Wicked.
Rivers and lakes and all that live within. Mainly because he could control the water, control the creatures.
Okay, I'm going to go with one of the most incredible superheroes that we've got in New Zealand. Ricky Baker.
Ricky Baker.
Oh, way better one.
Chose him. He could steal stuff, he could spit, he could run away from stuff. What else can he do?
Set things on fire.
Sing songs.
Yeah,
set
kick
things
over
on
rubbish
fire.
bins.
Happy birthday song.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I'm going to go back to our previous podcast of Hunt for the Wilder People, where we were discussing how to pitch Julian Dennison's next movie, and we discussed how he could be a sidekick in the Spider-Man universe. So, Spider-Man is known for being bitten by a radioactive spider, and then he gets the powers of a spider. So I'm imagining a young little New Zealander who's gone out for a walk in the bush, and he's discovered that people have come here with nuclear weapons, which New Zealand is completely against. So he goes running in and says, hey, you're not allowed to bring those nukes here. But unfortunately, one of the nukes is spilt onto a native tuatara. The tuatara bites the young New Zealand kid and turns him into Tuatara Man. He's a young kid who now has the power of a tuatara.
You don't mean Tuatara Min.
No, Tuatara Man, yeah.
Okay, that end.
Cool, so thanks to everybody for listening. Once again, Logan, it's just been an amazing movie. Well done, Hugh Jackman. Sad to see you go, but at the same time, thank you for everything you've done. Love that movie. Definitely get out and see it. Now, this week we have 2 Newbs. So if there was a Newb sitting at home and boyfriend was going on about how he wants to go see this new comic book movie, would you reckon if you're a girl, you go along? Girl, guy, whatever, you go along?
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely a good date movie. But bring some tissues because I totally bawled my eyes out.
Aww.
I would give it my seal of approval, but with some parameters. If you have been going to see some comic book movies already with your boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever, and then you see this one, I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. If you have never seen a superhero movie, you might come to this and think, ugh, a bit violent, not too sure about that. So, but because for me it was refreshing. It was a nice take on a superhero movie.
Awesome, cool. So that takes us to the end of our podcast. Thanks for listening. Like, subscribe. You can find us on Facebook, Nerd v Newb. You can find us on Twitter at Nerd v Newb as well. That's NERDVNEWB. Just search for those. You find us. We're on all the major podcast apps. Send us some questions. Send us some movies you want to suggest. Batman vs Superman. We're going to do that one soon. Anyway, that's thanks from me.
Thanks.
Ta.
Don't touch the seat. Don't touch the microphone. Don't breathe. Don't be nasal.
I had an ex-girlfriend that hated me touching her.
Full stop. Commented. He said,
Oh,
why
yeah,
don't you
yeah.
start a YouTube channel as well?
It'll be like your YouPorn channel.
It'll be if we're
Okay, I was watching the movie, but
Well done.
stabbing me with your inhaler.
Good.
sure. Was created from his DNA. Who did he have a baby with?
He did.
They...
Red blood, blue blood, red blood, blue blood.
I don't know why I'm laughing. It might be the glass of wine.
I don't even know what porn is.
Take a guess.